See him in the square, kept from subtle snare, unrelenting sleuth on the scent of truth. See him on the street, seeking to entreat.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Do you know my king?
See him in dispute, firm and resolute, driven by the fame of his father's name. See him at his trade, done, the plan is made. Of his skills, if the Father wills.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
He groans. One is true. He fallibility. See him in lament. Should I now repent? Yes, and then proclaim all.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
See him worshiping. Watch the sinner sing. Spared the burning flood only by the blood. See him on the shore. Whence this ocean store? From your God above.
I was on the wrestling team at my high school, Troy High School in Fullerton, California, which is in Southern California, and it's about 72 degrees there today.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
But, today I'm talking about why we should read our Bibles. But if I can just be honest with you guys, ever so quickly, the words that come out of my mouth are not always the words that I want to say. I don't know if you have any experience with this, but for example, during my senior year of high school, there was this girl that I really liked. And so, I started pursuing her, and eventually I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend. And
This is a
she reluctantly
demonstration
said
of
yes,
Wirecast.
And after 3 weeks, she broke up with me. And I was very sad. But about a month later, she approached me again and said, you know what, I think I made a mistake. I still have feelings for you, but I don't really know what we should do about that. And I was like, why don't we, go out and stuff? And she was like, well, we're going to college in, a year, so I don't know if we should do that. So essentially, what ended up happening is we would meet every couple of days, talk it out.
This
I would
is a
say,
demonstration
"Hey,
of
she
Wirecast.
would be, I'm hesitant, I don't want to do it. And so after such a meeting, I was at her house, we were talking about all this, and I was pretty frustrated, nothing could happen, nothing was going on in our relationship, and so I, was leaving. And as I was walking to my car, she was walking me to my car, and we hugged goodbye. And as we're hugging goodbye, out of nowhere, she kisses me on my cheek. And I just get the butterflies, I've never gotten butterflies in my entire life.
This is a demonstration
Our
of
hearts are so
Wirecast.
this new level of joy. I'm like, I don't know why you kissed me on the cheek. You said you don't want to date. I'm very confused by the signs that you're throwing out here. But at any rate, as this was all going through my heart and mind, she says, I'll see you tomorrow. Now, to this day, I cannot tell you why I said the words that I said next, but it was the only response that seemed to be appropriate in my mind at the time. But when she said, I'll see you tomorrow, I said, I love you too.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
And I wish that I could take back the words so much as in that moment. So, you know what? I am not nervous at all about speaking in front of you guys today because it'll never be worse than that. I can tell you that right now. So please forgive me if the words that come out of my mouth aren't exactly the words that I want you to hear, but I just pray that you get something out of our time here together today. So I'd just like tell you a bit about myself. I like to
This
propose
is a
to you guys
demonstration
here
of
that the Bible is
Wirecast.
simply a bunch of stories. I, think that I love what your music teacher was saying about how music can tell stories, and it's so true. The Bible is just the story of God and His people. And I would like to tell you my story, and I hope that through my story, you learn that the story of the Bible is relevant to your life. So I grew up in a non-Christian home in Southern California. My family, we would go to Volk, every Christmas and Easter. But
This
we never
is a
really,
demonstration
none of us had
of
a relationship with Christ.
Wirecast.
And I don't know about you, but I very much lacked purpose and drive before I came to know Christ. It seemed to me as if life was just sort of, you go to school for a very long time, you work for an even longer time, and then you die. And I was not so keen on that whole idea. But when I was introduced to the gospel in 5th grade, my whole life changed. The story of the Bible gave purpose for my life, and I found and things that I did.
This
that,
is a
that was God
demonstration.
me with a purpose in mind, and that His desire for me was to share that with the world. And so I felt as if there was now more to life than sort of what was just visible to me. The years went on. There were some bad times, but they were mostly good until 8th grade. Now I don't know about you guys, but for me, 8th grade was awesome. I grew like 9 inches in junior high, so I was like a beast in 8th grade. It's sort of sad because now like all of you are taller than me. But 8th grade was really cool.
This is a
I was
demonstration
popular, I
of
was
Wirecast.
athletic, things seemed to be going well, and however, something happened going into 9th grade. My parents sort of gathered me and my 3 siblings up and told us that they were going to get separated. And I had a lot of thoughts as to why that was a bad idea at the time, but I was going to football camp for high school, wrestling camp, summer school, and I was a little busy, so I just took them at their word that this was going to be a good thing for our family, and that
This
Mom was
is
going
a
to work on her
demonstration
stuff,
of
Dad was going to
Wirecast.
work on his stuff, and then they were going to get back together, and that things were going to be better. They were wrong. Things got much, much worse. My parents would hardly ever see each other while I was in high school. My dad lived in an apartment away from our main home. When they would see each other, it would be very confrontational, very argumentative, very loud, and not very pretty. Things were made worse because my older sister, was struggling with alcoholism at the time. She was away
This
from the home.
is a
She lived
demonstration
elsewhere.
of
And my
Wirecast.
older brother was a student at Westmont at a school in Santa Barbara studying philosophy, so he was away. So it was me and my little sister, and I felt very much responsible for both of our emotional health and our needs. And I felt like everything was going wrong, just tremendously wrong. I was very frustrated with God, for not fixing any of it. It had seemed to me that ever since I became a Christian, life got much harder, not easier.
This is
When
a
I
demonstration
prayed, I
of
just didn't understand
Wirecast.
why God couldn't fix my parents' marriage, why He couldn't, help me out with my classes, why He couldn't make me a better wrestler, or even like why He couldn't get me a girlfriend. I felt as if this was like a very simple list of things that were easy for God. Creator of the universe can sort of do what He wants. I hope by the end of this that you see that this is a very selfish way to sort of view our stories and view God's stories in light of all that He's done for us.
This is a
So,
demonstration of
struggle with
Wirecast.
academics, athletics, family life, it all seems to be falling apart. This is all coming to a climax come my senior year, going into my senior year. I was at a wrestling practice. Like I said, was a wrestler. Wrestling one of my coaches, and he was sort of a stud, and out of nowhere, dropped me on my shoulder very hard, to the point where I was like, I think I might need to go to the ER. Like, this is bad. And then my other coach approaches me and says, your dad's here. And I was like, that's
This
super
is
weird.
a
There's no
demonstration
reason for
of
my dad to be here
Wirecast.
In the middle of the school day. I mean, it was in the middle of the day, here at my wrestling practice. There's just no good reason. So at any rate, my collarbone's killing me, and I go outside, and my father is out there, sure enough, and he proceeds to just, we had this very tough conversation. He was very upset at the time. I didn't know it at the time, but this was only a few months before my parents were to get a divorce. and he was questioning me about things that my
This
mother
is a
did.
demonstration
He
of
He
Wirecast.
started yelling, he started screaming. I started getting really upset too. I don't want to paint you an improper picture of my father. He's a very loving, very kind man, but this was not our best moment together. It was loud, it stunk, and I also potentially need to go to the ER the whole time, which is something I didn't really want to bring up as we were having this conversation about my parents potentially being divorced. So at any rate, he finally storms off. I myself go back inside of practice, and the whole wrestling room is silent.
This is a
They
demonstration
heard
of
everything
Wirecast.
that had been said, and my coach sort of approached me and said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm good. I just need to use the restroom." He was like, "Yeah, for sure." So I don't know why, but I had my Bible there. I grab it, and I walk outside the gym on the opposite side of the building from which my father and I just had spoken. And I go use the bathroom on the outside of the gym. And trying to get back into the gym, the door was locked. And I went to a gated high school, so it was gate.
This is a
gym,
demonstration of
wall. So I was
Wirecast.
trapped in this rectangular enclosure with nowhere to go. But I had my Bible. And so, I opened it up to where I had last read at the time, and that was Colossians. And I say to you guys with a tremendous amount of faith today that God met me in that moment through the words from Colossians. So I'd like to read that now. You guys I don't know if any of you have Bibles with you, but it's found in Colossians chapter 1, verses 16.
This is a
through
demonstration
23.
of Wirecast.
It's a little wordy, but I'm going to try to break it down for us. This is talking about Christ. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church.
This
He
is
the
a
beginning,
demonstration
the
of
firstborn from the
Wirecast.
dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. For in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in heaven, making peace by the blood of his cross. And you who were once alienated and hostile in mind, doing evil deeds, he has now reconciled in his body of flesh by his death, in order to present you holy and blameless and above reproach before him.
This
If
is a
indeed you
demonstration
continue
of
in faith,
Wirecast.
stable and steadfast, not shifting from the hope of the gospel which you heard, which has been proclaimed in all creation under heaven, and of which I, Paul, became a minister. This is essentially a nice little summary of the story of the Bible. During my senior year, I reached a point where I didn't have the strength to go on it. With all that was going on in my life, it seemed as if I was just going to follow that sort of...
This is a demonstration of
trajectory
Wirecast.
Going to school, going to work, and then dying after it was all said and done, having not much significance. But here, I was reminded once again, the Bible is the place to turn to find purpose. It teaches that God, creator of all things, created us with a loving purpose in mind to not only spend forever with us, but also for us to help other people find that same hope. The story of this book is the story of God.
This
and
is a
people,
demonstration
in
of
which He's
Wirecast.
constantly writing them to himself until he does so ultimately through Jesus Christ. Now, I know that you freshmen are taking OT and NT survey, and I know that everyone beyond that point has already taken it. And I'm sure that in class, you guys have sort of learned that this Bible narrative, the story, is the story of God constantly trying to be with his people through whatever means possible. And currently, this is the means by which he does that now. He has chosen to reveal himself to us through the words
This
on
is
this
a
page.
demonstration of Wirecast.
At any rate, I want to move on to the next part that really impacted me on that day, locked outside the gym. And that is Colossians chapter 2, verses 6 through 15. Therefore, as you received Christ Jesus the Lord, so walk in him, rooted and built up in him, and established in the faith, just as you were taught, abounding in thanksgiving. See to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit.
This
according
is
to
a
human
demonstration
tradition,
of
according to the
Wirecast.
elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ. For in him, who the whole fullness of deity dwells bodily, and you have been filled in him, who is the head of all rule and authority. In him also you were circumcised with a circumcision made without hands, by putting off the body of the flesh, by the circumcision of Christ, having been buried with him in baptism, in which you were also raised with him through faith in the powerful working of God, who raised him from the dead.
This is
And
a
you who were
demonstration
dead in
of
your
Wirecast.
trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made alive together with him, having forgiven us all our trespasses, by canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross. He disarmed the rulers and authorities and put them to open shame by triumphing over them in him. You know, I just want to acknowledge something that's true of a lot of you, but oftentimes a lot of people forget.
This is a
That's that
demonstration
many
of
people in this
Wirecast.
room have extremely difficult lives. A lot of you, like myself, are children of divorced parents. Some of you, even worse than that, come from abuse backgrounds. And the list goes on and on. And I just want to acknowledge that that sucks. And I'm so sorry for the place that you're at. But the worst part about it is that on top of whatever circumstance you might find yourself in now, I'm sure
This
that
is
many
a demonstration
of you are
of Wirecast.
struggling to get over the shame of that one sin you just keep returning to. Or that lie that you told is eating away at your skin. Now, I want you guys to know that the Bible is the place to turn to give you comfort during that time of shame. It says here that God literally nails everything you've done to the cross. And I don't know about you, but I love that imagery of God literally taking all of the bad that
This
I've done.
is a demonstration
nailing it
of
across the cross,
Wirecast.
setting it aside, saying that's no longer, Satan can't use that as evidence against you. God sees you as a person completely worthy of heaven, completely unstained by the sin of the world, if you confess the sacrifice of his Son and believe. However, some of you may be hearing this and thinking to yourselves, sweet, then I can do whatever I want, which is sort of an appropriate response. But Paul knew you would say that, and in Romans chapter 6 he says,
This
"What shall we
is a
say then?
demonstration of
Are we to continue in
Wirecast.
the sin that we are in, that grace may abound? By no means, no way. How can we who died to sin still live in it? Do you not know that all of us who have been baptized into Christ Jesus were baptized into his death? We were buried, therefore, with him by baptism into death, in order that, Jesus as Christ was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, we too might walk in the newness of life." I'm pretty sure you've all heard this before, that essentially what the
This
Bible
is a
saying here
demonstration
is
of
that our belief in
Wirecast.
Christ is an invitation from God to walk in the newness of life, to put away the old things that we've been doing and start doing the good things we know we ought to do. And that when we mess up, grace is there to pick us back up again. Now this is great. However, oftentimes we forget this message, even though we've heard it a million times. And that's why it's so important for us to keep turning to Scripture, the place that reminds us of the reality of who God is and who
This
we are.
is a
and why
demonstration
we're
of
God's.
Wirecast.
The Bible itself reminds us of how bad we are remembering things in James chapter 1. It says, "Be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. For if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks intently at his natural face in a mirror. For he looks at himself and goes away at once and forgets what he was like. But the one who looks into the perfect law, the law of liberty, and perseveres, being no hearer who forgets, but a doer who acts, he will be blessed
This
in
is
his
a
doing."
demonstration of Wirecast.
If there are two things that I want you to take away from my story and, the story of the Bible, it's that we should read the Bible because there is nowhere else to turn. When everything comes crashing down, you can ask anyone. All the other ways to try and take away your pain or to try and run away from your sin, they're only temporary. I promise you. The Bible tells us of the only way that's permanent. And
This
by,
is a demonstration of
Jesus.
Wirecast.
And number two, the second thing I hope that you take away is that the Bible doesn't fix the wrong things that have been done to you. It just, we see it handle those situations. We understand that God cares for us and wants to be with us through those hard times, literally for the rest of eternity. On that note, would you guys please pray with me?
A demonstration of Wirecast.
Meaning of your scripture, of who we are inside of your Son Jesus, we have freedom to walk in new life. Might we remember your grace, Lord, and might we just remember